Hey everybody, another fabulous edition of Bird Brain 66 here with my good buddy Brian Brett's on my left or my right. Where you at today, Brian?
I'm out there somewhere. That's all I can tell you. But it's all good. How are you, Andy?
Perfect, doing good today. Another Cardinal set today, the 2005 Donruss Champions. 450 cards in the overall set and 18 cards in the Cardinals set. Brian and I had a little discussion right before this started, and great player selection, except for about three people. That usually occurs no matter who's making cards. And
Right.
then interesting design, pretty cool design, but I think they could have done more with it. Over to you, Brian.
Alrighty. So I'm going to show the design. I'm the first person I'm going to show in this set. I got it in my penny sleeve, so I had to take it out. Is great selection with Keith Hernandez. Love the pennant flags on it. It's called the Donruss Champions series. So love that look in terms of the pennants. Love at the back of it, I guess, to a certain extent. Said love in the beginning, and then you corrupted me, as you always do. No, I'm just kidding. You started talking about what they could have done with the card to make it a little bit better. So let's start with that. Let's go through our
Okay.
little bits, and then we'll go through
Okay.
the players.
So I'll go ahead and I'm going to throw a different player up too at the same time. Well, it doesn't matter. Abraham Nunez. Don't know why. Interesting choice. I don't know why they would do that. But what Brian and I are referring to, you have this nice looking card, pretty cool looking border. But if it was a profile card instead of this horizontal or landscape card, as we know, you could have had a full picture on there. Or if you could have had dual players on this card, because you have a whole side of the card is blank. Makes no
Right,
sense. So I don't know, you could put something over there, anything. I mean, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And also, like I said, some of the players just don't make any sense. And
right.
the back of the card gives a little storyline on each player in the back of the card.
And we'll show here in just a few minutes how some of the cards out of there's 450 overall, like you said, 18 Cardinals, like you said, but some of them have numbers on the back and some of them do not. So we'll show that in just a second. But again, I'm going to give them props. Not very often you see a lefty in a Cardinal uniform, so definitely love that. I know there's variations of this set, so this is probably, got the relic. There's probably a piece of a uniform there on that side. Maybe there's an autograph, but to Andy's point, lots of wasted space. It would have been really nice to take a stronger look. Love that.
Ken Boyer, thankfully, I always seen when they bring in a older player or, or it's a Hall of Famer or
Hmm.
whatever, oh, wait a minute, he should be a Hall of Famer. So that I just want to point that out.
Right.
But interesting enough, his is the only black and white photo that's in this particular set, which makes me question it even more.
Yep. Well, and here's another thing too. If you look at it, why, when you look at the his ball cap, is it blank?
Yeah, I mean, there's like so many things. Like when we first decided to do this set, I thought I really loved this set. But the more I looked at it and the more I thought about it before we started this, I really started disliking the set. But here's Slaughter, which you would have
Right.
figured if anybody's going to be in black and white, it'd probably be him. So
Exactly.
I'd s- I'm always puzzled by some of the choices that all these card companies make when they're. It's almost like one of those Pacific sets from the 90s,
Hmm.
but just a better card stock.
Well, going back to the Boyer card for just a second, it's almost like they got everybody's rights to put them on the card except for Boyer, and they stripped the logo off of his hat. Love
There you
this one,
go.
of course.
Franchise.
Yep.
I always wanted to point that out because I've always hear everybody use the term the franchise for different players, but he's the original franchise. And I'm going to put this one up because it's probably one of my least favorite Albert Pujols pictures. I mean, it's not. What's it? I mean, is he just watching I don't know what he's doing. I mean, it's like what? It's not a swing. It's not a getting ready to take a swing. It's a weird photo to put on a card. It's just like I said, Brian. I actually hate this set.
Well, so you were mentioning the choice of players. So we have not one, not two, not three, but four Albert Pujols cards.
Yeah, it's
So
puzzling. It's
from
just
that
puzzling.
from that set, why isn't Yachty in there? I mean, there's so many people again that we could have in this
Well, the only
particular.
thing I could think maybe Yachty, you have Yachty instead of Abraham Nunez for one, because Yachty was, just up and coming at that point, and Matheny had just left the team. So maybe, I mean, or anybody. I mean, pick somebody.
Exactly.
At least we got ball game in there. So at least he's doing something,
Right.
catching the ball. So again, when we first started talking about it, I thought, man, I really like that set until I really started looking at the cards. It's just like I don't understand what's going on with it.
Yep. Love Hoot here. Nice
One
one
of
to
those
hit.
things you're like, oh man, back in the day when I got that, I thought, man, those are really cool. Then not so much anymore. I mean,
Exactly. I told you you're a negative influence. I liked this set until we started talking before recording. It's like, no.
and here's another one. I mean, it's like Roger Cedeno. There he is. I mean, it puzzles me to the player selection at a lot of these type of sets. And there were a number of these done by Upper Deck, Donruss, Fleer, Tops back in the 2000s. They were just cranking all kinds of different sets out there. And they were not always the best of quality. I think, to be honest, I think during that time period, Upper Deck probably produced probably the best.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what you want to call them, mini sets or whatever you want to call them, but I think Upper Deck probably had the best run on those type of sets back in the day. Player selection was, I don't think they ever had a problem with player selection, to come to think of it. But
This had great photography. I
yeah,
mean, all of the above. Got to always put in moose lips here.
yeah.
Love Larry Walker. So I just noticed that, speaking of people who are in here, because I haven't taken everybody out of the penny sleeves. Well, who do you have next? And then I'll tell you who I know
Well,
is missing.
I have Albert next because it's just another puzzling photo to me. Like I don't not I mean it's just mid whatever swing or getting ready. I mean it's like, oh, we just had all these photos laying around. I was just jam something on the let's just jam something on this card. So I don't know. It's
Here's somebody who finally got some more love.
yeah,
Jeff
just
Suppan. Love that. But you know who's missing that I just noticed is why in the heck isn't Scott Rowland?
yeah. I mean, come on.
From the MV3 year. You're coming
I
right
know.
off.
It's
It's
just
just four Pujols. Great shot of Jimmy Ball game and no Scott Rowland. Obviously, we
yeah,
know
it's
that.
just it's absolutely I don't know. I just don't know what to say. I don't even know what to say about it.
And we don't have a manager card in here. I mean, you could put a LaRussa card. Um, I can't remember. I guess Eck left the team. So, or no, wait a minute. He should be arriving. So we could have David Eckstein on here too. So it's crazy. So who do you have next? I know we got a few guys that we haven't shown, so we should do that real quick.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, I don't think I'm gonna let's see. Well, I always like So Taguchi, so he's in the set. But again, when we're talking, we're going to call it champions. I mean, I don't know if it's I don't know what the purpose of the set really is. So it's just kind of the more you look at it, think about it, and it's like, okay, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, to be quite honest. But I did like him as a player, though.
Yeah. One thing you do want to point out though, it's amazing that there's no Ozzie Smith card in here.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody, why isn't Ozzy in this set? Like, I
It's like
mean,
as much as we
he makes every set.
right,
So today we presented you with a card set we absolutely that we don't like, and
pretty much.
yeah, because when we were going into it, we first talked about it. I really like that set. So next time we'll give you a set that we do like.
Well, what can you tell us that what are some of the highlights? Because I did some homework. We prepared for this set
Oh,
for
for
quite
the
some time.
of the season,
Yeah,
they won 100 games that year. Don't know when they'll ever do that again, but hopefully it'll be sometime soon. I mean,
that's just
they had a lot of good players on the team, so. Like I said, player selection on the set was kind of poor, and And if you're going to go back in time, there's a lot of guys, Willie McGee. I mean, there's all kinds of people you could throw on here that don't, get a lot of card love from all these different manufacturers back in that time period. What you got for all your stats?
So I look back. This is when the White Sox won the World Series in 2005. They swept the Astros, and you and I have talked about this many times. It's usually always a guy who's the MVP, kind of like a David Freese, somebody who comes out of nowhere. In this particular case, it was Jermaine Dye, which I really shook my head because that was a guy. When you think of maybe like a Frank Thomas winning the MVP, somebody like that, or maybe even a Mark Burley because he was such a great pitcher that season for the White Sox. He was also, a local guy. So interesting that they swept the Astros, two former Cardinals on that team in Chris Widger and Cliff Polite. I know that Polite was a rookie with the Cardinals. Widger may have come to the Cardinals after that World Series. I got to go back in time. I can't remember because Widger just had a cup of coffee. The other interesting thing is that there were two local guys on the team. And when I say local, Mark Burley being from St. Charles, and then there was a guy really even closer to where we grew up in Belleville, a guy by the name of Neil Kotz, who grew up in Lebanon. And so from our house to Lebanon, not as far as from our house to um, St. Charles. And then last thing that I had is two guys went into the Hall of Fame in 2005, Wade Boggs, Ryan Sandberg, and believe it or not, Bruce Sutter was third in the voting that year. So he just barely missed it. And Willie McGee received 26 votes that year to go into the Hall of Fame. That's all I got.
Outstanding. I usually have some kind of Van Halen reference. I don't have much of a Van Halen reference because that was the year that Sammy Hagar had left the band for the second time, and David Lee Roth was coming back into the band. Michael Anthony also left the band and would not return, be replaced by Wolfgang Van Halen because the year before they were on tour was Sammy, Wolf, and Michael Anthony, Alex Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen, and then it all went down the tubes once again, as it had many times. So that for as far as Van Halen news, Van Halen fans, that's just part of the allure of the band, I guess, or
Something
discontent
like that.
with the band or whatever you want to have it. But one of my other favorite bands, I'll mention the Foo Fighters because they had In Your Honor come out that year. It's a double album. One side all rockin' uh, tracks on the first side, or if you're doing album wise back in the day, some people still doing albums, some people doing CDs or now digital, and the other side was acoustic. But yeah, great songs on that particular album. So I thought I'd mention that. And I didn't know. I looked up the always look at the best song. We Belong Together by Mariah Carey. And if you played that right now, I wouldn't even be able to tell you what that is because I don't even remember what that song was, obviously. And Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So I don't even know if I've even seen that particular
I know I have.
movie.
That
I
was a
don't know. I probably have. I'm not real sure.
big, big series for my daughters and I and my wife to watch. So that was, I definitely know that we did that. So last question to you before we wrap up. Where were you in 2005?
Man, where was I in 2005? Let me think. I was I was stationed in Tinker Air Force Base, Oklahoma. I was living in Oklahoma at the time.
Nice and flat.
It's yeah, Tornado Alley. You want to talk about Tornado Alley? That place is Tornado Alley. So yeah, that place was had to think about that for a minute. Yeah, it was right before I came to Virginia. So, but yeah, it was. I've been a lot of places. I've been everywhere, man. Is that
That song.
Johnny Cash?
Very nice. Very nice. Well, we promise that the next set that we do is one that, believe it or not, that we will like. It's funny though. I mean, we talked right at the very beginning about how much we thought this was a cool set, and then we ended up picking it apart. So Sorry, Donruss, that just happens to be the way it goes sometimes. But
Well,
all right, everybody.
I don't even consider Donruss to be the real Donruss anymore, even though they're still releasing cards. I wish, please stop. How about please stop releasing baseball cards? Thank you.
Yeah, that would be nice because none of it is licensed. So you just get guys like the Ken Boyer card there where he's doesn't have an STL on the cap. So funny, funny. Well, everyone, you can find us on all of our social channels, but we'll start with just, hey, like us here and follow us on our YouTube channel. That it continues to grow, and so does X and Blue Sky and Instagram and Facebook and Threads and wherever else we are on. So once again, thank you for joining us, and we will be back again soon with another fun team set review and one that we will pick apart that we enjoy. How's that?
All right. Well, thanks everybody. We appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time.